week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last stunts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 365. Mr. Somich.
Crappy Prepazah!
As Greg McSorley says, it is time to make some money at Keeneland. We are here to do the all-stakes Saturday pick four at Keeneland, not the late pick four. We are covering races 6 through 9 Saturday at Keeneland. Mr. Somich, first question, was my microphone better when we started?
It was excellent. You came through loud and clear. I'm very proud of you. And we're really doing one for the team here. This late pick four has an all-stakes pick 5 that starts the previous race. And there's this little horse called whoever the 5 is that I think is singleable in that spot. So you can have a single in front of our pick 4 tickets here if you want to for the pick 5.
Nashville, even money to win
there you go. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Although if Nashville wins and Golden Pal wins, spoiler, I'm not singling Golden Pal. Yeah. It might not pay very much. So that you're already warned that may be a problem here, because if they both win, they're both going to be sub-even money, and it could get a little weird.
Yeah, my pick 4 ticket is $24 for 50 cents. I don't have a single, but I feel like this could get a little chalky. I think one big shot I'm taking, but that's it.
Yeah, mine's 48. I am singling, and it's not anyone is thinking. Well, maybe someone's thinking it, but it is not in either of the two races that you would think people would single. We're going to talk about the Bluegrass quite a bit here. Man, my opinions on the Bluegrass are lukewarm at best. Well, and like we talked about this a little before, but the same with the Wood, man. I thought both of those races were an absolute cluster. And if you told me that a 50-1 shot won either of them, I would not be shocked.
We literally have a Todd Pletcher maiden that loves to hit the board running in both the Bluegrass and the Wood Memorial. I just did the Wood Memorial preview with Jared a few minutes ago, which they'll be up at racingdudes.com and youtube.com/racingdudes shortly. But that race we were talking about, like, is it really that crazy that you could see either one of those horses or both of them hit the board this weekend and go to the Kentucky Derby? It's not the craziest thing, and that's what's crazy.
I'm going to have a 15-1 shot from the Wood on every one of my press tickets.
Oh, interesting. Boys, too bad we're not covering Aqueduct. I think you have to buy the inside track to the Bluegrass Stakes wagering diet to find out exactly what 15-1 he's talking about.
I think there's only one horse at 15-1, so that may not help the selling point there, Magic. But
don't tell the people that. Most of it, listen, I love our listeners. Most of them aren't that smart to have kind of figured that out for themselves. So, you know who is smart though? Greg. He's excited about Keeneland. Robert Witt is excited to talk about Ethereal Road in the Bluegrass. So let's not waste any time, Mike. Riders up! Is. But hey, let's get into the late pick 4, the all graded. Not the late pick 4. I need to stop saying that. I'm so sorry. It is the all graded stakes pick 4 at Keeneland on Saturday, April 9th. Starting with race 6, this is the Grade 2 Appalachian. We have a field of 8 fillies routing a mile on the lawn. The 3 Spenderella 7-5 favorite. Looks like the speed of the speed, and on turf, that's a dangerous thing here, Mike.
Yeah, I hope she runs better than your microphone sounds right now, because now your microphone sucks. Yeah, look, this is going to be my single in this sequence. That race that she won last time out, the Spenderella was able to take the field wire to wire in Florida, is actually a pretty good race. Second place horse Opalina was favored next time out. Third place horse Mischievous Kiss was favored next time out. Opalina ran well. Mischievous Kiss could have run better, but had a tough pace setup and didn't get the best trip, so I'm not going to hold it against Mischievous Kiss. I think that this is the best horse in the field. I think this is the pace in the field. When you combine those two things, for me, that leads toward a single, especially when I'm trying to go crazy deep in the later part of this pick 4. So I'm going to start out here by just putting the bullet on Spenderella and hope she gets home.
She's my top pick here. I went 3 deep. I'll add one last thing just to make her sound even better. Is 2 weeks ago, she worked with an older filly named Harajuku, who went and finished very good second in the Grade 3 Orchid Stakes at Gulfstream last week. And Tyler Gaffalione riding. We know how much Mike loves Tyler Gaffalione, former Keeneland riding champion. So, yeah, definitely love Spinderella here. I used the 4 Dolce Zell, Chad Brown, second time off, second time routing, second time at 3, second time North America, all good angles. Normally, you and I don't like to see horses leave Tampa and go to actual, other tracks like Keeneland or Gulfstream, but you and I both know Chad Brown hates the Gulfstream Park turf, and so I didn't really hold it against him that he put this horse at Tampa. He put her in a graded stake, so it's not like she went to Tampa for an allowance race or something. I really like that Irad is going to keep the mount here. Irad at Keeneland this weekend tells me that he thinks overall his chances of making money are better at Keeneland than, say, at Aqueduct this weekend. So I used Dolce Zell, and then I also used the 5 skims as well. Flavian Pratt picking up the mount for Shug McGahee. I think that makes her kind of sneaky. She's perfect in 2 route trips so far in her career. Kind of like Dolce Zell, second off, second at 3. I think that she's going to get a really good stalking trip behind Spinderella. And let's say for whatever reason, Spinderella doesn't fire. Maybe the ground's a little too soft for her, whatever reason. I think the skims is going to be the one sitting just behind her and get first jump on her. Or get first jump off of the horses behind her, I should say. And with Flavian Pratt being aboard, that's what tips me, Mike, that this horse is going to be really sneaky and fire because Pratt is so good at timing those turf rides.
Yeah, I mean, look, if I was going to add anybody, it would be the 4 and then the 5. Those are my next 2 horses in my next up column. I can't start with the 3 and the 4 on the ticket when I'm worried that it could chalk out later. And that's why you're playing a $24 ticket. When I actually play this sequence, when I get aggressive with it, I will have some type of press ticket. The problem for me, and we'll talk about it in the Bluegrass, I hate the Bluegrass. I hate it. I cannot stand that race. I hate it. My opinion is lukewarm at best. So, but here I feel like I got to start out with this 3 Spinderella. I think Dolce Zell, it definitely could fire. You talked about that Tampa angle for Chad Brown. That's where his best horses in the winter have been running. He's had a couple nice ones over the synth at Gulfstream as well, but his best straight turf horses have been there. You get Irad up. It should be all systems go. The problem is, Spinderella is going to be, looser than a dog at a dog park here. She's just going to be out there up front by herself, and I don't know if anyone can reel her in if she gets loose.
I'm looking in the chat here. And by the way, thanks so much for joining us. There's a lot of you. It's so great. Keep going in the chat. We're going to go through this. A lot of hate for Tyler Gaffalione here. Nick Feldman bringing that up. Curtis Manlow not trusting Tyler Gaff in Grand Motion, at least as a single.
Curtis has been working out.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, listen, Curtis, I'm just happy that Curtis, that's where your picture cuts off at, because I have seen your full picture. And congratulations. Congratulations. But we'll leave it.
Congratulations. Ashley right here, $4 pick 6 at Aqueduct. Returns $1,224. Congratulations, Ashley. Awesome.
Hey, awesome. Yeah, Ashley, a frequent commenter and chat member here on these shows. Love to see that. Great job. Nick also brings up the fact that Dolce Zell was entered in the Here Comes the Bride race, the Spinderella one, but didn't draw in. He brought that up when we covered the Tampa race. I remember that. So it's not like Chad's been trying to duck her. So that's good to know. Chad did try to get around the Gulfstream Park turf and then went to Tampa. So Dennis says he thinks it's between the 3 and the 4. Yeah, it's the 3 and the 4 really on paper. And I think if you're going to go deeper in the later leg, you have to pick between 1 or the 2 here. Mike goes with the 3. And honestly, I can't see a single reason to argue against that. I don't hate Tyler Gaffalione like you and everybody in the chat. So I'm okay with it.
I don't hate Tyler Gaff. This is just a shtick that you have now. I'm not anti Tyler Gaffalione. I just don't think Tyler Gaffalione should be. Well, and see, now it's going to sound like I'm anti. He's just not as good as Irad and Jose up at Saratoga. Is that really that bad of a thing to say? It's like saying Steve Asmussen can't compete at Saratoga on the turf. Someone's right, someone's wrong, and it's me that's right. Also, sorry about that, Ashley. I apologize for that. Congratulations, sir.
Yeah, I was very careful about that. I've been using gender-neutral protons with Ashley ever since he showed up in here. So
I haven't gotten a horse's sex right in a while, so what can you do?
That's true. Yeah, you should take that as a compliment. Listen, Dr. Miranda, she keeps track.
Unbelievable.
She reminds me of this stuff with you. Listen, that's all I'm going to say. We'll move on to the second leg of the all graded stakes. Pick 4 sequence. The first grade 1 of the day is the grade 1 Madison Stakes, race 7 on the card. And here we have 10 older fillies going that fun 7 furlong sprint on the dirt. A 2-1 favorite. The 6 horse Kamara, your defending champion, similar to last year's running. Mike, she comes in off of an easy as she please, kind of a seasonal, debut, looks ready, second off the layoff. Does she repeat in this spot?
Bell's the one is the horse we're talking about, right?
Kamari.
See, I gotta hype up my T-Gaff thing here. I'm not wrong and I'm not hating. Anyway, Miranda keeping receipts, unbelievable. I don't know. I don't think Kamari repeats here. I think this is a wide open race. I think there's quite a bit of speed. Kamari should be close to that pace. I'm a little bit concerned that, second off the layoff, we may not see like the A++ effort here. And I think this is a pretty deep race when you kind of go through it. I'm going to try and lean toward a price here. I'm going to put the 4-horse Just One Time at 8-1 on top. Look, I love the fact that we're getting Pratt on this horse. Brad Cox has a couple in here. This one is going to come from off the pace. This is going to be second time out in the 4-year-old season. Not this time as Sire we've talked about quite a bit. Speightstown on the bottom, so I love the pedigree. Beat 4 Graces last time out. This horse is 5 for 6 in its lifetime. The only time is when it was a little too forwardly placed over the synthetic up at Presque Isle Downs. The fact that Brad Cox got this horse, put it right into a grade 2, ran well, took a little time off, and now this is the second start we're going to make in our career. It makes me think this is absolutely all systems go. I love the price at 8-1. Give me just this time on top.
I can't believe that she's 8-1. That's the biggest surprise to me. I went 4 deep here, and the fact that she's my third choice, don't let that deter you, because I love her just about as much as I love the 2 horses to her outside. I'll tease that one or give you that answer. But yeah, Just One Time. That race, by the way, that Brad Cox debuted her in for his barn, that was Pegasus World Cup Day. And I don't remember if we were live when it happened, if we were just hanging out and watching it together. But she's a speed horse. She was extremely fractious through the gate. I think she broke through the gate, or she was about to, and then she broke last. And we were like, God, this filly is just a wreck. Like, what is going on? Like, she, maybe
Rosario.
Bad idea. Rosario, we're blaming everything we could. And she won despite everything that happened. That was such an impressive effort. If you really think about everything, you remember everything that went into that. I don't love that we haven't seen her, since the end of January, but maybe Cox is just taking his time. Kind of like with Bell's the One and also Latruska. Maybe they're thinking we have an end goal, which is the Breeders' Cup, which will be at Keeneland in the fall. Maybe we just space out the races and try and get that best effort. So yeah, I absolutely love Just One Time. And I think she gets a great trip just off the outside of Center Isle and Lady Rocket, and then pounces at the top of the stretch.
Yep, I 100% agree. And one of the things I love about Just One Time, you mentioned her as a speed horse. She's got 5 career wins. She's never been in first at first call. So she's got tactical speed, but still has that kick on, which I think is very important, especially in a race like this, where I think quite a bit of speed is drawn in. And Ashley asks a good question here. How do you determine what jockey got what choice of the Cox horses in this race? It's the same problem we're going to have at Keeneland for a little while here, because Flavien Prat is the monkey wrench of the jockey merry-go-round, right? Because he's coming in, has no real allegiance to anyone. You've got him on a couple Chad Brown horses on Saturday. You've got, it's just all over the place with Flavien Prat. So you got to decide, did someone pass the mount? Did Prat get offered the mount? Kind of how that works out. So we don't really know where Flavien Prat fits in the mix in the Brad Cox barn, in the Pletcher barn, in the Brown barn at this point. And you see him on all those horses. So it's going to be interesting to see, once we're a couple months into this, who gets favored where from a jockey perspective.
Yeah, no, that's a great question from Ashley there. You and I went 4 deep here, and we agree on the 4, 5, and the 6. So we talked about Kamari a little bit. She's perfect in 3 starts at Keeneland. She's perfect in 3 starts on dirt. She's perfect at 7 furlongs. Won this race last year. Oh, no, by the way, Tyler Gaffleone is 7 for 9 with Wesley Ward in the last 2 years at Keeneland. So all good reasons to like her. I know that you're a bigger Bell's the One fan, or at least a longer Bell's the One fan than I am. So we both like her. I'll let you talk about why. Yeah,
I mean, look, she's essentially what, 7 for 9 in the money at the 7 furlong distance. Yep. She's 3 for 7 winning at Keeneland. She's got the pace set up here, and that's really when you see Bell's the One lose, is when the pace setup doesn't exist for her. And here we have that. So you're going to see a ton of speed up front. Bell's the One is going to come trucking late. One of those races, she had a terrible trip and then won back the next start. And so there's a bunch of different reasons why I think Bell's the One's actually better than what her running line says. And her running line says she's a damn good horse. Her top upside is probably not as good as Kamari's A+ game or Just One Time's A+ game. And that is the biggest knock on Bell's the One, is that she's a cut below. However, she's very, very consistent. And so if you kind of get that, you have to expect that she's going to be there. And if you're not singling, it's really hard not to use Bell's the One, because she's going to be in play at the wire.
Yep, absolutely. They brought her back at age 6 with the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint in mind. They actually didn't go to it last year. They changed their mind at the last minute, but it kind of pissed you and I off because we both wanted to see her go. But with it being, again, with the Breeders' Cup being at Keeneland, they brought her back at 6 because she loves Keeneland. Mike's right with those stats. She's 3 for 7 here. So I love Belle's the one. This is where we're going to diverge. And actually the horse that you used that I almost did, but we both went price hunting here. I went with the 8 Club Car. This is a horse that I loved both times she faced Belle's the one last year. Both times I thought she might be able to beat her. Almost actually did beat Belle's the one the time they were at Keeneland. So I love the fact that this horse has never missed the board. She's 1 for 5 at the distance. She's 1 for 6 at Keeneland. The problem is she doesn't win a lot. And that's the biggest issue I have. So, in fact, the only stakes score on her resume, it was a 6 furlong race at Mountaineer. That doesn't really stack up. But she is a late runner. There is a lot of pace in here. And if it melts down at 15-1, she's going to be right there with Belle's the one at 7-2. So, if they're bang at different prices, I want them both.
Yeah, I mean, the other problem is that she's never run a 90 buyer. And you've got multiple horses in here that run 100. So we go back to is her A+ game competitive if anyone else runs theirs? I'm worried that she needs to run like A+ on steroids with some juice to get there. So it's going to be tough for Club Car to kind of run him down. Anytime we're Keeneland, I'm scared of speed because every now and then it goes full merry-go-round on us. And so I went to the horse. No, that's never happened. See the Breeders' Cup. So anytime you have these big time, these races, and there's a horse that I think has inside speed and can get to the front, I'm really scared of that speed. In this case, let's take a look at number 2, Center Isle. Luis Saez aboard for Paulo Lobo, who has done very well at Keeneland. He's one of those sneaky trainers in my mind. You don't hear him about as much. He doesn't have as big a barn as everybody else, but he just kind of clicks along. 15 graded stakes entries. He's got a 20% hit rate. So he's 3 for 15 there, $3.47 ROI. Center Isle, ridden for the first time last time by Luis Saez, ends up and pops a career best buyer. That was at the end of the 4-year-old season. We got a nice little break here coming off the layoff, an aggressive placement from a trainer that's not known for aggressively placing horses. This is a daughter of Into Mischief out of an Empire Maker mare. It's kind of all systems go from that perspective. I don't see any reason why Saez doesn't just press go immediately. And he's one of those riders, when he's on a speed horse, he is not going to let anyone else cross over on him. I love the fact that we get Saez here. That makes me feel much better about him beating everybody at the turn. And if we beat everybody at the turn, I want him at the top of the stretch when he'll probably still be in the lead. And by he, I mean Luis Saez, not the horse, because the horse
aboard the mare, Center Isle. Yes, I knew what you meant. Saez is in the lead too if he's on the lead horse.
Now, I saw your comment up here, Charles. I wanted to save it. I 100% agree with you. I think Center Isle is one of those that you kind of have to use at a big number here, just in case she wires the field.
I'm glad you brought it up too, because it did make me laugh. Charles said 100% win, like the horse has 100% win rate at the track for one race. But hey, it's on. That just seems like something I would say. It's not. Charles isn't wrong. He's
not wrong. It's got a sample size issue, but he's not wrong.
Yes, the fact isn't wrong. Nick is loves a club. I think Club Car definitely underneath is a good one. Dennis is in on Club Car as well. Rob brings up a great question. How will Magic know the winner of this race if they're going to use the same color saddle cloths? I'll have to wait for Kurt Becker to tell me. That's how I'll know, Rob. That's honestly it.
It is brutal, man. Like, can we just get rid of the same colored saddle cloths? It's every graded race. Is that right at Keeneland?
It might.
I know it's grade ones. I think it might be every graded race that they like to confuse you.
If it's more than 0, it's too many times. Yeah. Anyway, so you are 2, 4, 5, 6. I'm 4, 5, 6, 8. But we definitely love that middle trio. Mike, let's move on to the third leg of the all graded stakes pick 4 sequence. And this is what I like to call the Mike Somich special, aka the grade 2 Shakertown. When I think Shakertown, I automatically think, man, Mike loves this race. It's 11 older males sprinting 5.5 furlongs on the turf at Keeneland, and you've got a 4-5 favorite on the morning line that I know that even if you do use, you were just chomping at the bit to try and beat Golden Pal here.
Yeah, look, Golden Pal is my top pick because Golden Pal kind of has to be my top pick here. I do think that he's the best horse in the race. However, if you're going to beat Golden Pal, now's the time. It's like, because once he gets going, he's awfully tough to beat. And I think that there's a couple ways that you could go here to try and get around him. There's a bunch of speed in this spot, specifically Just Might on the outside. The problem is if he catches a flyer like BC, I mean,
I know.
He was up 3 lengths by the time they got to the palm tree 10 feet out of the gate. It was ridiculous when you go back and you watch that Breeders' Cup race. That's the one thing I'm most scared of. I think Golden Pal is probably your most likely winner. If I'm going to press through here, I'm probably only going to use 2 horses, and Golden Pal is going to be one of them. But I think you kind of have to. I have Golden Pal as a top pick. I think he's a must-use. I don't know how you leave him off a ticket here. My second choice is going to be the 9 horse, Filo di Arena. We're getting 12-1 on the morning line. Saez takes this mount. Cassie brings this horse down from Woodbine after running 3 times in Brazil, winning all 3, jumps into an allowance, and looks darn good in that 7-furlong turf sprint. And they went 44-4, 107-4 up front. They were freaking flying, and this horse still came home in 12s. So, I mean, absolutely awesome speed. Still able to hold on for more. Grace Fable runs second in that race. Pretty good horse. Now we're getting second out in North America. It's a long layoff here, which is really my biggest concern. But then you go and you look at these workouts, man. I mean, 59-2, and then we come back with a bullet 58 flat. All systems go here, and we get Luis Saez at a 12-1 price. If Golden Pal comes back at all, I think the 9 horse, Flavo de Arena, is the one that can get it done.
It's an interesting horse. Brazilian bred, undefeated in 3 races in Brazil in 2019. And we don't see again until June of last year. And then, wins very impressively going longer at Woodbine in an allowance race. I just don't. This feels like too tough of a spot for this horse. I'm curious to watch this horse moving forward. This feels like, oh boy, I mean, you've never gone this short before, so we don't know what kind of burst the horse is going to show. We don't really know what the horse can do against actually talented horses, because again, we're coming from Brazil and Woodbine. I'm sorry, Group 2 and Group 3 races in Brazil. I mean, even I can't remember her name, but Jolie Olympica for Mandela. Like, you still had to come here and prove it. Now, I mean, goddamn, could she prove it? But she had to prove it. And she had a better resume than Fildaria. I'm not going to knock it because you are getting a great price on him at 12-1 here, and with Saez and Cassie, could be sneaky. Golden Pal was my top pick. I'm with you as well. I don't think there's any reason to try and play against him or argue against him here. Nick Feldman's calling out the other horse that I'm going to use here, and so is Michael Myers. The Learjet is 12-1. I don't actually understand this one, Michael, unless it's the distance, the fact that he hasn't gone 5.5 furlongs in a little bit. But remember, this is one of 2 or 3 horses. It's one of 3 horses to ever beat Golden Pal. Did it at Ascot in 2020 when they're both 2 years old, going 5 furlongs, so the horse can go short, is undefeated in both tries going about this distance. But I really was impressed by him in the Franklin Simpson last fall at Kentucky Downs. And 6.5 at Kentucky Downs is like a mile here at Keeneland. But so again, we have to go a little bit shorter. But I love the fact that Gaffleona is going to be riding back for Brendan Walsh. And I looked up to this, Brendan Walsh bringing horses back after 180 plus days. You see the stat, he's 24% with a positive ROI. When he does it going straight into a stakes, he's 4 for 4 for his last 4. Zofel did it last year. Wayburn did it last week. And your favorite horse and Bill's too, Maxfield, did it twice in 2020. So Brendan Walsh bringing a horse back after a very long layoff into deep waters, that's a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, I use this horse too. I agree with you. 12-1's a little bit too high of a price. You have to expect you're going to take a nice step forward. First out as a 4-year-old, obviously an angle that I love to use here. A little afraid we might be too far off it to be able to get the job done. That's my biggest scare here. But, I think this is a horse you can use. And one of the reasons I'm trying to beat Golden Pal is because everybody's going to be a nice price because Golden Pal is in this race. I mean, that's why you're getting 12-1 in the Learjet, because you're sitting on 4-5 at Golden Pal. It's going to get bet down. So all of a sudden, you're going to get a decent number on pretty much any other direction you want to go. And that's why, we're getting 12-1 on Filo de Arena, and we're getting 12-1 on the Learjet, and we're getting 10-1 on the other horse I'm going to use, which is also getting some love in the chat here, Gear Jockey. Look, this horse's race in the Breeders' Cup was over at the break because of what happened with Golden Pal. And oh, by the way, no one closed a lick on that turf course at Del Mar going 5 furlongs that entire weekend. So I'm not going to hold that race against him at all. First time out was too bad to believe. So I'm not going to worry about that one. I'm just going to assume we're going to get back to form. And if we do, and if Golden Pal comes back at all, Gear Jockey will be there right at the end. One of the reasons why the 9 is over the 5 for me is Luis Saez is leaving Gear Jockey for Filo de Arena on the 9 horse. So I'm going to end up going 4 deep here. I'm going to use 3 prices, the 5, the 6, and the 9. And then my top pick is Golden Pal. And I wish I could just not include Golden Pal. But I don't think that's a smart thing to do, especially since I feel like I have a price that's live in the race before, and I think the last race is a mess. So.
Yeah, I think since the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint last year, we're literally someone mentioned in the comments, but I think Ashley mentioned, 2 seconds after that race began, I cursed myself for spreading. Yeah,
Yep.
or if you left him off completely. Yeah, you just went, God damn it. You said there's a lot of love for Gear Jockey. No, his name's popping up a lot. There's actually no love for Gear Jockey. Charles says that the trainer Rusty Arnold stated Gear Jockey may want longer distance. He has one. Okay, you got one. You got one. Sorry, Vushan. I actually did miss that one. Yeah, there it is. Right above Gear Jockey Integrated Stakes winner.
That doesn't mean he doesn't like him. It just means he's not a great stakes winner, which is accurate.
Currently, as of today, he is not a great stakes winner.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Dr. Tang didn't like to switch off.
Oh, wait.
Like,
he is wrong. Gear Jockey won a grade 3 at Kentucky Downs last year.
Get out of here. I'm going to block you, Mike. I'm just kidding. And Charles, sneaky good at Keeneland. Yes, I do like Rusty Arnold as a trainer. And listen, 10-1, like you said, Mike, I think you're going to get it a great price here. Charles brings up a really great point, and why we are trying to spread against him is if Golden Pal loses, it'll knock out 70% of the tickets in this sequence. Easily.
Well,
so many people are going to love that horse here.
And we also have Rob here, who's bringing up a good point as well. He's talking about, okay, how am I going to be able, like, if you like Golden Pal in this spot and you want to play a press ticket and you're singling the 3 in the first leg and you have an opinion in the second, like, let's say you want to go 3 with 4 with 10 and you have a bigger opinion than I do in the last race of the sequence, you can play a press ticket for a couple bucks and protect the 50-cent ticket. I mean, so there's ways around this from a betting perspective where you can properly press your opinions correctly, but still allow yourself to have some coverage in this spot and just figure out how to kind of create a ladder ticket with the 50-cent, $2, and $5 tickets, where if Golden Pal wins, he's on the $5 and the $2, you're still in a good spot to make some money.
Curtis, my man, put Natural Power on his ticket, taking everybody else's money, including ours, when Natural Power comes in at a huge price. Let's talk about him, because I've seen this horse come up a couple of times. He's won 2 starts so far this year, both 5 furlong turf sprints at Gulfstream. They were optional claiming events, but he had to come from off the pace, and it looks like he's going to have a lot of horses to try and pass here. But I like the fact, looking at his form, Mike, that even though he's 50-1, the buyers are improving. He seems to be improving at age 5 here, but that he also did it from breaking from the rail, and he did it from all the way outside. So the horse seems like he can kind of make his own trip a little bit and get around horses. To me, he just seems like a cut below against a really tough group. Why did you not use him?
Well, I mean, he's a couple against a really tough group. However, third off the layoff, a logical place to take a step forward. I've seen worse 50-1 shots. How about I put it that way? Like, if you like this horse, I would never tell you not to use it, because this is like, that's a more live 50-1 shot than I think you're going to see a lot of times, because you could make a case that horse with a step forward all of a sudden is on par from a numbers perspective with the rest of this field. And then 50-1 doesn't seem that crazy, especially third off the layoff. I just can't get over that picture. So it definitely helps you set up there. So I wouldn't hate it there. I have one question for you, Magic.
Yes, sir.
Are you proud of me?
Always.
I didn't use Diamond Hoops.
Oh, you didn't? That's right.
Here for not using Diamond Hoops.
I actually meant to bring that up, and then I forgot. We got talking about Natural Power, so. Yeah, congratulations. Yeah, no, you didn't use Diamond Hoops in the spot. The only price to me, honestly, that doesn't make sense, I think is too short, is Barraza at 6-1. And I know he's been really red hot since Serin's been turf sprinting him, but he's coming from California after not beating that great of California horses. I think that he is off the board. So not only do I not like him to win, I think that 6-1, he's bad to play on your tickets there.
It's tough, too, when you're going from Santa Anita turf sprinting to anywhere else turf sprinting, because that course is just so different than this Keeneland course. It's night and day when you're comparing the two. So it's hard for me to look at those Santa Anita sprinters and kind of figure out how they're going to translate over to a course like Keeneland, especially like it's supposed to snow Saturday mornings. S-N-O-W, snow. What, you think maybe it was 60 in any race that Barraza ran? So it's a very different situation from a weather perspective as well. It's rained yesterday at Keeneland. I think it's supposed to rain tomorrow. Like it's not going to be the fastest turf course here, which I think it makes it tough there too.
Somehow they'll still find a way to make that a lightning fast dirt course, though, especially when Nashville's racing in the Commonwealth. Charles says light flurries. Yeah, that's going to be.
Apologize. Light flurries, not snow.
Hey, I'm in Los Angeles. A flurry. batten down the hatches. Shit's about to go down. Shit's about to go down in the final race of the all graded stakes. Pick 4 Saturday at Keeneland, because Mike Somich, you absolutely hate the grade 1 Bluegrass Stakes field, where we've got a very nice, deserving field of 12 little boys that are 3 years old going a mile and 1/8 on the dirt. Smile Happy is the 9-5 favorite. He's in the 10 post, not even on your screen right now. Broke his maiden on debut going a mile and 16th here last fall. Where'd you go on top?
Oh, man. Okay. Here's the thing. I have like 4 different ways that I get to horses generally. I have my own numbers. I've used a couple different products. I've got like everything I have, everything tells me that Smile Happy is going to win this race and Zandon's going to run second, and it's not close. I don't like either of them. Like, it's so like, I don't trust Corey Landry on Smile Happy, who I do think has a good shot at winning this race, but I don't fully trust him, and I hate the 9-5 price. I have not liked Zandon since day one. So it's hard for me now to be like, yes, Zandon in this field. But then you kind of look at the rest of the field and like, Emmanuel, I don't even know what to expect. Command Performance is still a maiden. If we run back to the 2-year-old, that's probably good enough with some improvement to beat this field. Then you have Rattle and Roll, whose numbers fit, third off a layoff. And I talked to the owner, and he made a great point that all of Rattle and Roll's best races are when he turns around quick. We're back in 2 weeks. Like, we're back on the surface that both Smile and Happy, or that Rattle and Roll won on. Like, but again, I don't really like Rattle and Roll either. And then I start to say, but there's no pace in this race. So let's look at the horses that can go out front. That's Fenwick. That's Volcanic. That's Emmanuel. And that's the 12th horse, who's not on the screen right now. It's like Grantham or something. I don't really like any of them either. It's just like, I cannot get to have a strong opinion in this race. And that's why I really struggled, is that, yeah, I have horses I'm going to use, and I've talked about a lot of the field, but I am wishy-washy in this spot. Like, it's to me, is just a really tough race, and I'm not going to hit the all button, because the horses I think are most likely to win are the 1 and 2 choices. So that's not a good idea long term. I don't want to press through this race. It's why I'm not giving out a $2 or $5 ticket, because I'm not pressing anything into the 2 or the 10 or the 4 here, because I don't feel like that's a smart thing to do. So it leaves me in this spot where I'm just like, this is a tough race. It's not one that I love. All that being said, I put Smile Happy on top. I think he's the best horse in this field. He's the one that stands out against all my numbers. So I kind of have to, but I'm lukewarm against this whole field, and I hope I've made that very clear. Your microphone's muted. Sorry. No, it was muted this time. Yeah, so I was typing because I was trying to look up the trainer for Fenwick, Kevin McCathan.
No, Mike says, don't just run happy, smile happy. Mike, you don't like this race. Come on, turn that frown upside down, pal, and smile. He is smiling. He's going to Smile Happy. I went too deep here. I'm going to let Smile Happy beat me, partially because I went cheaper or I went chalkier other spots. I had to pick against someone. I don't like this horse. I haven't ever. I mean, it's fun, but like, let's get serious here. This doesn't feel like a big boy horse to me, and he never really has. But I'm not going to shit on his trainer because I went 4 deep, and one of the horses I'm using is just his inside. It's the 9 Rattle and Roll. I was telling Jared beforehand because he laughed when I said I went too deep, and this is one of the horses I'm using. First of all, he wins the Breeders' Futurity over this course last year, going a mile and 16th. He comes back. He misses the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He has something go wrong. It's supposed to be a minor thing. He comes back in the Fountain of Youth, runs like shit. Comes back in Louisiana Derby behind Epicenter. Like everybody that runs against Epicenter runs like shit. So they bring him here, but I love not just the quick turnaround, putting the blinkers on this horse. We're trying something here. We're not giving up on him. We're trying to get him into the Kentucky Derby when we already have Smile Happy, owned by the same owner, trained by the same trainer. The fact that he's in here, and Brian Hernandez Jr., who is Kenny McPeak's top rider, and I think a very underrated jockey, the fact that he's going to ride him here. I'm going to ride with Rattle and Roll, but this is the one time. I didn't play him in the Fountain of Youth because I thought 9-2 was too short. 6-1 was too short. 8-1. The other McPeak. This is the time we play him, Mike. This is the time Rattle and Roll is worth a bullet on your ticket.
Well, let me tell you, man. When I was talking to Mike, who's the owner of Lucky 7 Stable, they were not planning on running this horse this weekend. The plan was to run him next weekend. And he has been working so well and galloping so well and so like ready to go that Kenny called Mike on Thursday and said, we need to run him this weekend. And so that's how he ended up in this race, is that he needs to go. He needs to get out there. He's ready to fire. And they're adding blinkers on the horse specifically to try and get the horse more forwardly placed. And so into that interview, not very high on Rattle and Roll, came out of it like, the connections like rattle and roll here. Like there's a reason they think that this horse is going to run really well. So to me, that kind of, again, this is more of the mind that's just messing with me in this race, because I kind of feel like if they put rattle and roll in here and everyone, like they're all saying they're ready to go, and you got Smile Happy who's 9-5, you kind of have to use rattle and roll at 8-1. And not a huge McPeak guy, but he does well in Kentucky, and 8-1 is the right price, not 9-5 when you're looking for a McPeak. So I don't disagree with you on the use.
Let's see. You went. How deep did you go here? You went 4 deep, so you did use him. You didn't use my other horse, but I've been talking a little bit too much, so I'll let you keep going with who you want.
Well, I went 6 deep. So I used both McPeaks in the 9 and the 10. I used both Pletchers. Emmanuel, it's because I have no clue what I'm going to get from him. Literally no idea. It looked awesome in Tampa. You could make excuses for him at Gulfstream, but didn't look good. But you could make excuses for him at Gulfstream. So I'm going to put him on the ticket. Command Performance, I kind of think you have to put on the ticket at 12-1. I realize that he only has really 1, maybe 2 races that are good enough to win this. But the fact that Irad shows up, the fact that he's drew the rail, I think, which is a pretty good post draw in this spot. I think he has the upside that some of these others don't that are running in here. And if you look at his numbers, he's clearly the 3rd or 4th best horse right now. So yeah, I'm going to use the 1 Command Performance. And again, I don't really like Command Performance, but I think that this is a legit spot where he could win. I used Zand in the 4, who was my second pick, and who I think, again, everything that I have points to 10-4 here, cold, except the eye test, which tells me I have no clue who's going to win. So I'm going to use the 4. And last, I'm going to use the 2. Give me a little Fenwick. I think this race could go wire to wire. I think Paco is going to send Fenwick. I think Fenwick gets the lead from the 2 post, and I want the horse on the front. It's that simple on the 2. I went through it and was like, I was going to use the 2, the 5, or the 12. You should use one of the 3 of them, whichever one you think makes the lead. In my mind, after 5 minutes of flip-flopping, I decided that the 2 Fenwick was going to make the lead, and that's why it's on the ticket.
You are predicting we're going to have some sort of history made where either a maiden in Command Performance or a trainer who's literally never saddled a horse in a race before, and Kevin McCathan, is going to win the Bluegrass Stakes on Saturday.
Yeah, it's not great when you can't click on him in Equibase, is it?
Kevin McCathan. So when I was doing the research, he is part of the McCathan family. If you don't know the McCathan brothers, when they were both still alive, one passed a few years ago, I think, JJ. But they're one of the best breaking operations in Florida. The McCathan brothers had American Pharoah and Audible, Cezanne. They had a lot of big stars that came through, and also Cezanne. They came through their breaking spots. Kevin McCathan, I believe, is the son of one of the brothers that started it and broke Fenwick at the farm, which is great. He's also never saddled a horse to start in a race before. Listen, but that also, by the way, I'm not making fun of you. That's the testament to your opinion of this race, that you think either a 4 or 5 star, 4-star maiden or a trainer who's literally never done this before is going to win it.
Yep, and just to answer this, Curtis, how could I say he's the 4th best horse? Because his first and second race are as good as anyone in there. Both of those are, and it's just that simple. The Breeders' Cup didn't come back that great. His first race out wasn't awesome, but Pletcher decided to put him in here and try and get Derby points, and so I'm going to trust Pletcher. Irad took them out, and those first 2 races in New York are good enough. And so it's when you kind of go through the who has a good enough race, he's one of the first 4 you have to call out. So he makes the card there. And Robert, you're right. When everything I have,
that twice.
When everything I have turns up the 2 horses I don't want to play in a race, I'm willing to admit that it's a race that I don't love and that I'm not overly high on, and that I'm not going to put a ton of money through this race because I feel like this race is a tough race where, look, if anyone wins this race, I'm not shocked.
I misspoke earlier, misread the ticket earlier. I have the 4-9, so I'm 4-9 in this spot as well. That's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks for joining, Mike. Is my mic shitty again?
No, it was a very quick transition.
No, it's my computer was freezing. It wasn't quick on this end, trust me.
Oh, it was very snappy in the rest of the world.
Very snappy. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Magic Mike Show, covering Keeneland's all graded stakes pick 4 Saturday. That's races 6 through 9. Appreciate you joining us. We're going to put our tickets down below, and we'll give it out one last time, especially for the audio listeners. And as long as Mike doesn't get a tornado again, I'll remember to do this. I'll start off for 50 cents. I'm going 3-4-5 with 4-5-6-8 with $6.10, and then 4.9 for 50 cents. It's $24, Mr. Somich.
I'm going to play a 50-cent ticket. It's going to be $48 total. I'm going to go 3 with 2, 4, 5, 6 with 5, 6, 9, 10 with 1, 2, 4, 6, 9, 10. I'll catch you $48. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting sequence when we hit it. We'll talk about the other preps as well here after we finish this up. But yeah, this is an interesting one.
Over at racingdudes.com, the 2022 Bluegrass or Inside Track to the Bluegrass Stakes wagering guide, it would be available for sale. If you're listening to this after the fact, it's available for pre-sale right now. Jared's putting the finishing touches on it, but go over to racingdudes.com and download that. It is included with all of the premium subscriptions, and it covers not only every single race on Keeneland's card Saturday, but it also all 3 Kentucky Derby prep races. So the San Anita Derby, the Wood Memorial, and the San Anita Oaks are also covered in there. No love for the Gazelle Stakes. If you want that, you're shit out of luck. We decided not to do the Gazelle Stakes for some reason. I think Aaron just really hates Aqueduct that much. But over there, you can also get previews, full in-depth previews of every single Derby and Oaks prep race, also at youtube.com/racingdudes. So make sure you head over there for that one. Mike, of all of the races this weekend, which one are you most excited about?
Oh, man, that's an interesting question.
Because Santa Anita Derby, there's only 6 horses, but the amount of electricity, it's like if you've seen the new Spider-Man movie, it's like Jamie Foxx's Electro when he's like, ooh, look at all the power, look at all the power.
Well, honestly, that's the race that that's the race I think is the most important of the weekend. I think it's going to be very hard for the winner of the Derby to come out of either the Bluegrass or the Wood up at Aqueduct. So for me, I mean, we're going to have 2 of the top 5 betting choices face off against each other. And we have a third horse in there in Taba, which is going to be a huge contender if he runs well at all. And so that race to me is the most interesting of the Derby preps. And you asked me what I like the race the most, I like the weekend. I usually don't like Derby prep races the most. I'm usually the guy who likes the 16K non-winners of 3 claimer race where I like a price, right? But if you were talking about the stakes races, yeah, I mean, to me, the Santa Anita Derby is a must watch, like an absolute must watch, because I think Taba, whatever it is very good. And I think Taba is going to put the screws to Forbidden Kingdom early, and we're going to find out what Forbidden Kingdom is going to be made of. And Messier is going to be rolling late, and then we're going to find out whatever the person who's left standing between the Taba Forbidden Kingdom matchup is. We're going to find out how good they are when someone's trying to run them down late. So to me, that race is very interesting, even though it's just 6 horses.
I am the most excited about Santa Anita Derby because I have a feeling that at some point in the far turn, you're going to see Johnny V press go on Messier. And that moment he does, I feel like you're going to feel the hair on your arm kind of stand up a little bit, because he's going to go probably 3 wide around Forbidden Kingdom and Taiba. Probably Forbidden Kingdom on the rail. Taiba on his outside, and Messier just 3 wide with the jockey not moving. We're just going to go. There we go. Race is over. Derby winner right there.
Yeah, I mean, just a couple things in the chat I think that are relevant here. First off, plus 200 right now on Messier is absurd. You're not getting anything near that race time. So if you can get that, I would 100% put a couple bucks on it if you like Messier. We did a video on the future pool that's going to come out here shortly as well. And that one, you have 8-1 currently on both Forbidden Kingdom and Messier. They're both going to be like what? Even money, 6-5, 7-5, somewhere in that range, the Santa Anita Derby. Whoever wins is going to be sub 5-1 in the Kentucky Derby. So you're getting double the value if you like the winner. So if you're going to bet $20 to win at even money, you might as well bet 20 to win for that horse to win the Derby instead. If you think this race is going to be that good, because you're getting 8-1 instead of even money on your $20, you go 10-10 or something like that. Because I do think that you're seeing more value in the future pool than predicting the winner of the Santa Anita Derby because of what's going to happen to those odds come the first Saturday in May. But man, I think right here, I mean, Dennis obviously watched the preview. I don't think Forbidden Kingdom hits the board. I think it's going to be, I think it's Messier and it's Taiba. There's going to be 1 and 2. And then I'm looking at either Happy Jack or Armagnac to run third and try and get a price in there. So to me, those are the way to make money on this race is either play the cold exacta with whatever order you think in the top 2, or find that try and see if you can run out Forbidden Kingdom, Messier, or Taiba. Because if you run any of the 3 out, it's going to pay in the try.
This is Special Golden Kitten kind of says it too. What we're all thinking here that Messier is going to come and pass Taiba after he presses Forbidden Kingdom. Tennis Yaffert. Yeah, we were having the discussion. Is it Bactine or Yaffert? Yaffert seems to be the overall choice. I still say Bactine sounds like something that you rub on Gamine when she's about to go race. But
it sounds like something you don't want your dentist to tell you have.
You have some buildup of Bactine on your.
You got a Bactine buildup in your upper left.
Let's see here. Curtis brings up Jimmy Barnes follow table while Bob's on vacation. Yeah, all of the Bob assistants over to the effort barn. Let me ask you this: does the winner of the Kentucky Derby, kind of building off of Curtis's question here, is the winner of the Santa Anita Derby the favorite for the Kentucky Derby?
I don't know how Messier's not, or I'm sorry, I don't know how Epicenter is not favored, because you have a connection problem now. And yeah, I realize that we all know that the Yaffords are Yaffords, right? But the general public who's betting a lot of money on the Derby $2 at a time won't. And so there's this part of, you're not going to see Bob Baffert in the form. And so I have a feeling a lot of people are going to gravitate toward Epicenter, who's looked absolutely awesome in his last two. He's the favorite at 5-1 in the current future pool. He is currently the favorite overseas at 6-1. I feel like he's the one who's going to take the money, and we're not going to see him again before the Derby. Obviously, the draw matters. And look, if Messier wins by 20, I reserve the right to change my opinion on this question. But I think it's going to be tough for Epicenter not to go off favored no matter what happens this weekend.
I mean, he can be off favorite. That's fine. As long as he wins the Kentucky Derby, that's all.
We're 0-1 with Derby favorites, Magic. We're 0-1. Tis the law.
I know. We didn't have to bring it up. I know. That's why I'm not getting excited about us winning the fantasy league. But hey, you don't care about that. What you care about is great content, which we have over at youtube.com/racingdudes. If you're watching live on the YouTube show or on Facebook, again, thank you for joining us. Right here, you see this is the dashboard of just the latest videos we have over at youtube.com/racingdudes. And we're trying to put out as much great content as we possibly can. And I can tell you that there are 3 videos sitting in the hopper right now that are not on this screen, and there'll be 2 more. So this is going to look completely different even a few hours from now. If you guys aren't subscribed yet, make sure you go subscribe to the Racing Dudes YouTube channel. Hit the little notification bell so that you get notified every single time we go live or upload a video. You don't want to miss any of the great content we have going on over at racingdudes.com. Mr. Somich, before we get out of here, any last words for the folks at home?
Yeah, if you want to watch the Masters and sweat it out with me, I've got Dustin Johnson at 28-1 to win the first round. He's currently tied for the lead at 4 under through 12. And I've got Will Zalakarius.
Will Zal.
I got him at 58-1 to lead the first round. He's at 2 under right now. So I got a little sweat going on there if you want to enjoy that. Hopefully one of the two can get him done. And then we've got Good Chalk, Bad Chalk. We're covering the late pick 4 at Santa Anita. Head over to Equinedge's YouTube page for that. That'll go live at 7 o'clock with Brady Klotz. So we're excited to be back at Good Chalk, Bad Chalk. Had 5 winners last week. So hopefully we can keep that. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. Late pick 5
great job on that.
It was fun. It was a fun time. 8-1 in the first race, too. So hopefully everyone can join us over there. We'll do some live handicapping, and we're able to show the live races. So make sure you check that out. And finally, YouTube, we got a ton of great content going up. Like, I'm excited to get that Magic will eventually get off his ass and edit the interview I did for the owner. Smile Happy and Rattle and Roll. I think there's some interesting information in there. And then I'm excited to get our Derby talk up, too. So, yeah, a bunch of stuff going on. Make sure you check out the YouTube page and join us for Good Chalk, Bad Chalk.
I can only work so hard. You keep making me do all this shit. I'm just kidding. It's a lot of fun.
And Aaron and I did a video this morning. I was like, I texted Aaron and said, hey, man, let's do the top 5 small tracks we've been to in the country. I'm excited for that to come out. So Aaron and I each picked our top 5 tracks, small tracks that we've been to. Make sure you check that out. And when you do, comment below with what your favorite small track is too, because we want, like, I'm like this close to trying to convince my wife to let me get an RV and drive across the country from racetrack to racetrack for a summer, because that would be awesome.
Dude, you know how badly I wanted to do that last summer. And that was my plan, was that like the last summer was going to be the time to try and do something like that before the kid came along. Kid came along, COVID came along. I guess that would have been 2 summers ago. Damn. Yeah, kind of screws things. I always thought that'd be cool too. Also, I think it'd be a lot easier if we didn't have wives, but I don't.
Or kids.
Or kids. Yes. Well, wife and kid kind of come together. So if we ever find ourselves kicked out on the street, Mike, I think we know what option B is for both of us. But hey, option A for you should always be to watch the Magic Mike show here, youtube.com/racingdudes, or at racingdudes.com. You can get the podcast anywhere you find podcasts. Thank you again so much for everybody. Really appreciate all the love and attention and support we've been getting. Really appreciate it. Good luck this weekend. Until next time, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Time to make some money at Keeneland. See you on Monday, boys.
This has been a presentation of RacingDudes.com, your destination for all things horse racing and sports betting. Whether you want free winners, expert insider picks, up-to-the-minute trackside weather reports, or podcasts and videos for bettors of all skill levels, Never make another wager without visiting the Racing Dudes. First,